This is AUGforums.com Real Talk. First, thank you to our sponsors, APS Payments, Kenzium, and DataSelf. Please take a minute to support this podcast by clicking on the sponsor banners located at augforums.com/sponsors. My name is Tim Rodman, and I'm coming to you live on Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. This is episode number 40. Gustavo Carrasquillo, solutions developer at Blanco Group, sharing his Acumatica customer story. Gustavo, thanks for coming on. You can introduce yourself and fix my pronunciation there if I messed it up on your last name.
Thank you, Tim. It's nice to finally meet you. So my name is Gustavo Carrasquillo. I'm from Puerto Rico.
Last name.
Thank you, Tim. It's nice to finally meet you. So my name is Gustavo Carrasquillo. I'm from Puerto Rico. And yes, Tim, thanks for the opportunity. So I've been working with Blanco Group for a while now. It's 14 years now. I started as a salesman in Blanco. Blanco is one of 5 companies the Blanco Group has. So the Blanco Group has Blanco, Carrasquillo, Enco, Hueco, and Harris. So it's basically a group of building materials, right? So I started as a salesman, as a roof sealers salesman back in 2006, and at the retail stores, Home Depot. Then I started mixing paints, and then I continue escalating to the supervisor at Walmart. And then I ended up in the main warehouse, in the main office, and helping with everything logistics and warehouse related. And then I finally became a solutions developer for the group back in 2018. I obviously finished my studies in computer information systems and everything computer related. So having the knowledge of this business since the lowest level, right? Since being a salesman has given me the opportunity of a great contribution for the company, right? And so here we are dealing now with the ERP systems and finances and warehouse logistics and everything related to the system, so we can keep continually growing. This pandemic has been rough in their homes, realizing home improvement projects and everything. So good so far. It's been good for us in terms of business, and Acumatica has been of great help for us. We started using Acumatica at our newest distribution warehouse located in Jamaica right now. So to give you a little more context of our company, as I said in the beginning, Blanco Group is a building materials based group, having 5 companies. Those are Blanco, Carrasquillo, Enco, Hueco, and Harris. So Blanco is mostly paint, sealers, caulkings, adhesives, concrete bondings, roof sealers. Carrasquillo is roof sealers mostly, and waterproofing products too. Mostly, and waterproofing products too. Enco and Hueco, they have concrete products, grouts, cements, and um, caulkings too, some caulkings. And then we have Harris, with which they sell paints, roof sealers, and spray paints. So the spray paints are they're spread all over worldwide. They even have a spray paint, a spray product called Everwet. They have their automotive line too, for the car care. So basically, yes. So Blanco Group is a big cap group. It's like 300 million market cap right now, and being part of this group and having the opportunity to use Acumatica, just starting with Acumatica, to manage our enterprise, right, resources. It's been a great opportunity of learning and also contributing to the ease of use for the managers and the company as well.
When you say 300 million market cap, you mean like valuation or annual revenue, or what do you mean there?
Yes, annual revenue.
Annual revenue, okay. That's a good size. I think that sounds like a good fit for Acumatica. And I'm
Yes.
also wondering what's like a ballpark number of employees across all 5 companies?
So it's more or less like 200, I'm sorry, like 2,400 or 2,500 employees.
Wow.
All the group, yes, the group is almost that. So we have several distribution warehouses all across Central America and Orlando, Florida, and we are starting to build one in Jamaica too. So yes, so we also have across Puerto Rico. So we have in San Lorenzo, that's a municipality. It's almost like half an hour from San Juan, Puerto Rico. We have the main production facility for Blanco, and then we have in San Juan we have Harris, we have Crosco, in Sidra we have Enco, and in Toa Baja too. That's another municipality. So basically, we have like 4 plants in Puerto Rico for the group, and the rest of them are spread worldwide.
And where are you personally located at?
So I'm personally at the main office at Blanco in San Lorenzo, Puerto Rico. That's like half an hour from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And so this is the main office for Blanco. For the Blanco group for now. We are 4 plants in Puerto Rico for the group, and the rest of them are spread worldwide.
And where are you personally located at?
So I'm personally at the main office at Blanco in San Lorenzo, Puerto Rico. That's like half an hour from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And so this is the main office for Blanco. For the Blanco group for now, we are located here too.
And it sounds like, so there's 5 companies in the portfolio. Would you say that you're mainly a manufacturing group, or is it kind of depend on which company you're talking about, if you're primarily manufacturing or distribution?
So it's both really. It's manufacturing, but we distribute worldwide. So we have like 5 or 6 manufacturing plants and a lot of distribution worldwide. Warehouses worldwide. So what we're doing right now, for example, like in Jamaica, we want to build a manufacturing plant there, so it will help us to distribute better products across the Caribbean, because the demand is so high for Puerto Rico. We have to export to Chile, we have to export to Jamaica, we have to export to the United States in some cases. So so as we find the need or the necessity, then we build another manufacturing plant to keep with our distribution demand.
Interesting. So maybe take us through, it's great background on yourself. Oh, actually, I have one more question on you personally. So you've been there, I think you said 14 years. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And before that, was this your first job right out of school, or did you do something cool that you came from a sales background? I think that's pretty unusual. Like, I don't know, my experience, normally the sales people are like the least ERP savvy people in the company, and you grew from sales into ERP. I think that's a pretty cool path.
Yes,
and being able
it's
to
been a great experience.
I think
Yes,
that's pretty neat.
yeah, it's been a great experience, really, and I'm so grateful with the group itself, because and it's like you say, so giving a salesman the opportunity to come and sit in the background of things, the ERP and the system and how everything works, is not something everyone is willing to do. So Blanco Group gave me that opportunity, and I'm grateful with them, and I'm sure they're pretty happy with my job too. Everything works. It's not something everyone is willing to do. So Blanco Group gave me that opportunity, and I'm grateful with them, and I'm sure they're pretty happy with my job too. So so yes, it's unusual, but it happened. So here I am.
Maybe drill down a little bit more on that before we get into the Acumatica side. What would you say was like was there a key event that happened where you saw that opening, or was it more they saw your ability in that area? How did that happen? How did you practically transition from sales into the back systems?
So I will say it's a combination of both. Um, while I was working at the warehouse, logistics, sales, and everything related, as I told you before, I saw different opportunities for improvement. Start with it or do it in a way, because we had at that moment just one person managing the systems, all the systems in the company. It was just one person. So back in 2018, Blanco Group hired Lisandro. I know you know him, Lisandro Quiñones, to start improving everything system wide, and the ERP and all the stuff, all the new stuff we're doing right now. So the general manager, I hop onto him and I have a conversation like, hey, so I have some skills, computer skills. I just finished my bachelor's degree. I'm planning to do the master's degree, and I know I could be of great help to the group, to the company, doing some new stuff and things that could help us. And he was like, "Oh, that's great timing because we have someone coming in. His name is Lisandro Quiñones. One coming in. His name is Lisandro Quiñones. So I want you to talk to him and you to keep in touch, and let's see where we go." So yes, I met Lisandro, and Lisandro, he assigned a couple of tasks. He was like, okay, when you go out of the warehouse to your home or whatever, I need you to organize this. I want you to solve this problem or do this flow chart, or let me see what you can do. So he proved me right, and I passed the test. So here I am.
That's cool. And that was, you said 2018. So even though you've been there 14 years, it was only a couple years ago that you got involved in the ERP.
Yes, yes. I started
Uh,
working in the main office in the ERP back in 2018. So yes. So I have roughly 3 years experience in the information systems field, even though I've been 14 years with the company.
that's really cool.
Years experience in the information systems field, even though I've been 14 years with the company.
That's really cool. I love that kind of a story. Great background for the system, seeing all the real sides of the business and not just coming, at it from a theoretical standpoint. So I think that's great. What about from the company side? So like what was the company running prior to Acumatica, and when did they start looking at a new system, and how did that process go?
So one of the main tasks Lisandro has is consolidating or start improving or taking benefit from being a group, right? So basically, even though we are a group, each company, each separate company, and even distribution warehouses have their own ERP. So for instance, we have in Puerto Rico, we use it also in Costa Rica. But for example, in Orlando, they use SAP, and as you know, Jamaica has Acumatica now. So every warehouse or every different manufacturing plant, they work like at their own terms, of their own ERP system. So what we want is to consolidate that and have a central ERP, so we can all communicate easier and system wide.
So when did you start that process? Was that right when you got involved in the very beginning of starting to look for a common system?
Yes, the very beginning we started looking for some options. We saw Microsoft Dynamics, Acumatica, of course, and some Oracle-based ERPs, and we made our comparisons. and it seemed at the moment that Acumatica was the fit. So we decided to give it a try. Uh, Having another opportunity, this has been almost like the opportunities, they have just appeared at the right moment. So we were just starting a new business in Jamaica. We are needing a new ERP system for the group, and then let's take this opportunity that we are starting a warehouse in Jamaica to use a new system instead of using what we have been using so far. So that's how we end up with Acumatica.
So you just started in one company, the one that was brand new. That just kind of worked out that way.
Exactly.
And since you were part of the selection process, was there was there one or two things that really stood out to you about Acumatica, or was it just this big spreadsheet of, when you total up all the points that you calculated, Acumatica was the winner? Like, what were the main things that caused you to select it?
Well, one of the main attractive we found with Acumatica was the cloud ERP solution. So as I mentioned you before, our system, the Navios system we use, the Oracle-based system, uh, it's been pretty good so far. However, it's in our server. So back in 2017, when the Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, I don't know if you remember that. So we were out of communications, and the Blanco Chile, Blanco Costa Rica people that needed to communicate with us were happens again, the rest of the group won't be affected. The rest of the group using our resources won't be affected by that event. So the main point we saw with Acumatica was the cloud ERP system. And then when we saw the financials module and the kind of detail it has. So our CFO saw it and he fell in love with the interface of Acumatica and how the financials are managed there. And of course, the reporting, having the opportunity to use Acumatica Report Designer and seeing the customizations and the kind of stuff we can do in Acumatica was another plus because coming from legacy ERP systems, we have to recreate some things that system we manage there. And of course, the reporting, having the opportunity to use Acumatica Report Designer and seeing the customizations and the kind of stuff we can do in Acumatica was another plus because coming from legacy ERP systems, we have to recreate some things that system without the amount of customization Acumatica has won't be able to recreate easily. So that was another positive thing Acumatica brought to us.
Yeah, that makes sense. A company of your size is going to need some customization capability. You're not just going to get an ERP out of the box that handles a $300 million a year company. That makes sense. Since you brought up the hurricane, I'm curious on that. You might not know the answer to this, but for your company specifically.
Here, he's still with us, by the way, and he had some backups, some local backups, so we could keep working local, even internally, while the rest of the internet and the communications was restored. So basically, yes, the server room was recovered.
Interesting.
Yes.
I asked because that's actually a candidate for being on premises, right? And I wonder what you're thinking if that ever happens again. I hope it does not ever happen again. But if it does, would you just take with Acumatica? I guess you could just take a cloud backup and still restore it to your server room locally. Like you might have to go pick it up from someone physically. But what's your thought on that scenario? Or you just hope that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, so that was a lesson for us. Also because yeah,
someone physically, but what's your thought on that scenario? Or you just We hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, so that was a lesson for us. Also because so yes, being able to work locally was good. However, as I told you before, the rest of the group that needed to connect to our servers, they weren't able to do it because there was no internet. So
Right.
having the server up was a good and a bad thing in some way because we didn't have the communication, so the rest of the people can keep working, and and that's something that definitely shouldn't have happened, and it could have been avoided if we have heard of Acumatica before, definitely.
Yeah, and I guess maybe, in that scenario, you would just prioritize now the internet connection because that's all you would need. You wouldn't have two things to get back online. You just wouldn't have a server in a cloud scenario, especially across your portfolio, than the way you're doing it.
Exactly.
That's cool. So it sounds like those two things were major factors in selecting Acumatica. And maybe take us through like when you first went live. You mentioned Jamaica being the first one. How did that process go? How did the implementation go?
So the implementation was kind of one of a kind. It was unusual too because Acumatica mostly works through resellers. But in our case, Lisandro was the main contact person there. He went to the Acumatica summit, and he was constantly researching Acumatica. So he ended up speaking to someone, I can't quite remember the name right now, Acumatica, and he explained the situation. He explained what we were needing for that moment. So they made an exception with us, being located in the Caribbean, um, to let us like start the implementation by ourselves. So we started that way. They set up the basics, like the out of the box stuff, as you mentioned before, and then we took charge of the reporting, the configurations, and the rest of the system. Anita Ruger from Acumatica, she helps out. She helped us a lot. Then I have the opportunity to meet the report designer expert of Acumatica. She's from Ukraine. I can't remember her name right now, but she helped me a lot with the report designer building. And so the Google search is and so the Google search is magical, right? So the Google search led me to AOG forums, and that was a great help too, because having the resources from the people in Acumatica helping us, plus the AOG forums, plus the Acumatica University, it's a great amount of information, right? So we had the right resources to start doing it. But that was a one-time thing. So right now we are thinking of implementing Acumatica in another of our sites. So we started like this is like a mid implementation in Chile. We are using Acumatica for Chile too, but just for sales. So our sales representatives, they have Acumatica in the streets. Implementation in Chile. We are using Acumatica for Chile too, but just for sales. So our sales representatives, they have Acumatica in the streets, and with their iPads they just do the sales quotes, the sales orders, and then back in the office the people continue passing the orders to the ERP. But now we are starting to consider Acumatica as a full implementation for one of our manufacturers, like they're in Orlando, and we are doing the right implementation this time.
Well, you made it. That's unusual, but you made it. And you were mentioning like locations. By location, do you mean one of the five companies, or like what you started with? What was your first go live? What did it consist of?
So yes, we started with the five tenants. So we have two tenants for that: the Blanco, Jamaica, main production environment, and we still have the Jamaica test for testing purposes. And then another of the tenants is the one that we are using for Blanco Chile, the sales orders and the sales quote. And the other tenant is the one that we're starting to consider to use for Blanco Orlando. But we're almost out of tenants because we want to implement Acumatica in Puerto Rico too. For the Puerto Rico Acumatica implementation, it will be a little more complex because it has POS, it has point of sales. We have 17 point of sales. It will be the final number. We have 14 live right now, but we're in the process of getting 3 more. So Acumatica will help us with that. So that's a little. We're in the process of getting 3 more. So Acumatica will help us with that. So that's a little more complex environment because we need the main office Acumatica ERP and the POS Acumatica for each one of the branches of the locations, so they can manage their own transactions, their own inventory. But in the main office, we have the inventory for all the locations and the transactions for all the locations. So that's the implementation we're starting right away.
So you mentioned like 3 different Blanco locations, and you mentioned them as separate tenants. So are they actually, you mentioned 5 companies at the very beginning, but it sounds like you've got somewhat of an umbrella. You've got companies sitting underneath companies from a legal structure standpoint. Is that why you did separate tenants?
Yes. So for example, our stores, they are Blanco, their finances, their human resources, their employees, their way, and it's joint but separate at the same time. It's like kind of complicated. So basically, how it works, in mostly of all of our companies, we have this intercompany structure where they buy from us, from the main Blanco, and then they take charge of the distribution, their sales, and their transactions. It happens the same way with Blanco Jamaica, right? Blanco Jamaica, they have their own environment with Acumatica, and they buy Blanco for Blanco Puerto Rico through the POs, the purchase orders, and we're just another vendor for them, and that's the way we do it. So starting everything in Acumatica right now is Blanco related, but it will gradually start moving onto Crosco. So starting everything in Acumatica right now is Blanco related, but it will gradually start moving onto Crosco, Enco, and the rest of the group. That's our goal for now, of course, and that's what we're looking for.
Interesting. And I'm curious how it's gone so far with you. Are you liking that they're separate tenants, which really from an Acumatica standpoint means they're completely separate. They don't know about each other, right? Or do you have some consideration that you might wind up with, at least in some situations, one tenant with multiple companies underneath? What's your thoughts on that?
So that will happen with Acumatica Puerto Rico. So the store company, that's what we're looking for. We would like to have the main company, the Blanco store company, Acumatica Puerto Rico, and store company, Acumatica Puerto Rico, and it will have the different locations inside that company. So yeah, it will be like the umbrella you mentioned before. We will have the just one tenant for them with the 17 branches.
Interesting. So by doing separate tenants, which are really completely separate environments in Acumatica, what ties them together? Is there anything that Acumatica is bringing to the table for you that at least gives you, is it that you at least get some consistent data structure across them, or what are you using to do consolidated reporting across those separate tenants?
So for now, they are just separate tenants, just for now. Possibly in the near future, we could integrate them for some report. We are just treating them as separate tenants, as separate companies. until we finish the implementations and start having a lot more of the of data to recover.
Interesting. That's an interesting approach. I'm thinking of another Acumatica customer that I worked with that had a bunch of legal entities, and they tried to put them all in one tenant right away, and it didn't go well. And I think your approach, maybe you just recognize that the companies are so independent and their processes are so independent, and maybe just psychologically they don't want to be forced into the same thing yet. At least you're getting them all on Acumatica, and then you have the opportunity in the future to maybe bring them more together just from a reporting standpoint, or actually moving them into the same tenant. But your approach allows you to be more flexible, I think.
Yes, definitely. Like for example, in Blanco, Chile, um, their their workflows, the way they use the system is all unit based. They use no packaging. So even though a box having 4 gallons of paint is for us a box, for them is just 4 gallons. So like for example, Blanco Jamaica, they buy from them. So if they see from this, let's say dry coat, that's our main paint product. Like if you see 40 dry coats, if you buy them from Puerto Rico, being in Jamaica, that's 40 boxes of dry coat. So that's 160 gallons. But if you are buying from Blanco, Chile, and you just place the number 40, they will just send you 10 boxes. That's 40 gallons of dry coat. So that's one of the examples of why we treat them yet separately. Maybe the finance from Blanco, Chile, and you just place the number 40, they will just send you 10 boxes. That's 40 gallons of dry coat. So that's one of the examples of why we treat them yet separately. Maybe the financials is something we can keep together for reporting, for the CEOs and everything, but the rest of the business should be treated separately because of the ways each one work.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. It sort of seems like an octopus to me. You got all these arms that are off just doing their own thing, but financially is where the head is. That's what connects everything together. And maybe that's your opportunity, at least to start with, for consolidation.
Exactly.
Is that what, so like the whole initial goal or the initial initiative that you set out to achieve, it was increasing the communication and collaboration between the companies?
Yes, it's more of increasing the communication and taking advantage of the opportunities of being a group. Like for example, when we buy raw materials, we can get better pricing if we buy all together instead of you buying boxes from one supplier and me buying boxes from another supplier. We have like getting better prices for the raw materials or the packaging materials. And as you said before, having the group consolidated for financials is pretty good. But ERP wise, not so sure yet. We're starting with Acumatica. We're starting to see what the system does. We're starting to see its capabilities, and and it will take us there. We will know in the near future or midterm if it will be good to consolidate all the companies ERP wise. We're still debating on that.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that approach. It almost sounds like, from a technical standpoint, the tool that's most readily available to help you with your initiative, seeing numbers. Is it your Tableau things that you're doing, or from a
Yes,
technical standpoint?
yes, the Tableau.
Interesting. Very cool. I really like that, because I see a lot of companies that have exactly that initiative where it's, they don't care about the technical side, right? They know they want to take advantages of more centralized something, buying or whatever it is, and they think when they're buying an ERP system that that's what they're getting, when really they should be looking at it from a business intelligence angle. And it seems like you're looking at things from a business intelligence angle.
Yes, definitely.
And so, even though this is an Acumatica podcast, I'm curious to drill into this a little bit. On the Tableau side of things, did you look at a data cell for another third-party type of tool, or is it just looking at things from a business intelligence angle?
Yes, definitely.
And so, even though this is an Acumatica podcast, I'm curious to drill into this a little bit. On the Tableau side of things, did you look at a data cell for another third-party type of tool, or is it just all homegrown business intelligence?
No, yes. So data self is a great tool. We just starting to test it. We decided that we wanted to use data self roughly last week. So
Wow.
yes. So yeah, we have our own Tableau instance, and data self, as you know, they have theirs, but we're working together to see in what way we can all take benefit of this. Like Lisandro likes to refer to us as gurus, right? As the masters. So I'm the Acumatica guru. So we have a Tableau guru here. His name is Andres. He's working with us in the group, and he has a great knowledge in BI solutions like Power BI, Tableau, and all that stuff. So he helps us with the reporting and the Tableau views and dashboards, but also having the opportunity to work with data self has given us another side of things. So yes, it's a great tool. Data self is a great tool. We like it.
That's cool. Do you know, so you might not know the answer to this, but do you know how currently you're pulling the data together from different systems? Is it just all sitting, you pulling it into a central SQL database, or is it, you know what type of tool is pulling everything into a consolidated? You've got a fun job.
It's real fun. Yes, it's really exciting, and I learn new things every day. And yes, it's definitely exciting. I like it.
And dealing with so many different companies that have their own way of doing things, what has been your experience? Like, maybe talk about the soft skills side of things. How do you go into one location and, because here's how it feels to me sometimes when you have this umbrella group, right? You're looked at as like corporate, like, the dark side in Star Wars or something like that. Like this guy just wants to march through and make everything uniform. How do you, one, do you experience that? And two, how do you handle it? How do you get people to want to be part of this rather than viewing you as, the guy who's trying to make everything the same?
So that part, Lisandro managed that a little better than I do. um, so he's the CTO. He's the CTO. He's the person that's in charge of explaining the benefits of all this to the general managers and the different companies. Um, so everyone has their opinions, right? But in the end, they all see the benefit of doing this, and some of them take more time, some of them less. But it's like everything that is new. You just start, and then there's the sponsor. Yes, let's do this, and then you just start, and then you find a little failure here, or this didn't go as well, and then but in the end, they all see the benefit of doing this, and some of them take more time, some of them less. But it's like everything that is new. You just start, and then there's the sponsor. Yes, let's do this, and then you just start, and then you find a little failure here, or this didn't go as well, and then you solve it, and then hey, I like it, and then the other general manager, oh, I want that for me too, and then the other one, he wants that too, and that's the way we work here. Basically results based. We don't like to sell anything that's not true. We just start um, doing the things not secretly, but just working in silence, testing things. If something's gonna break, let it break on me, not on another person. So when everything's ready, then we start rolling it out. Do better, or what do you need for your business? And okay, let me try that. Okay, it didn't go well. Let me don't tell him that he asked me this until I have it ready. But basically, our results have been great through the group, so they are happy with our results, and that's a good opportunity for us to improve or research or look for new solutions like data self, as we were talking just a while back now.
Interesting. So, it sounds like you're not spending weeks and weeks on the whiteboard. It sounds like you kind of get an idea of what you want to do, and then you just jump in and try to make it work, like in a testing environment. Is that practically how you tackle it?
So with Acumatica, yes, because we have having the test intent, the test tenant, you can make a test tenant, gives the opportunity to test, and then after everything is set up, everything works cool. Okay, let's just upload it to the production environment. And for example, like reports, I can create it in Report Designer a report that I modify from the Jamaica test tenant, and then after I test everything is working, I just um, upload it to the server to the production tenant, and that's the way we do it. We always test things before rolling them out, and yes, unexpected things happens. It always happens, but we try to minimize it by using the test tenant.
So rather than just tell me, you have a show me kind of a culture. Show it to me, and you have a test environment to be able to show it.
Exactly.
That's cool. I like that kind of a culture. I mean, some places, you could spend weeks and weeks debating something on the white pool. I like that kind of a culture. I mean, some places, you could spend weeks and weeks debating something on the whiteboard, this approach, that approach. It sounds like you just dive in and try it. You always learn more by trying it out, and questions you never even would have asked, right?
Yes, definitely. So we definitely plan, and we use different tools for the projects, for the keeping. Um, we use Kanban boards and everything. But yes, basically we don't like spending too much time in the planification without doing it first. This is just a saying of me. It sounds kind of weird, but I say too much analysis is paralysis. So yes,
I
let's not.
agree.
Yes, not let's not analyze it too much, and let's just start doing it by breaking things. It too much, and let's just start doing it by breaking things, by failing is the way that you learn. So that's not the way, is this other way, and that's the way you learn, and that's the way you improve things, actually, by testing them more than analyzing them. So that's our culture here.
I like that. That does sound like a fun job.
Yes, it is.
So, looking forward, what's kind of on your plate these days? You're live with at least a few locations, and what are kind of some of the things that you're working on currently and looking to work on in the next year or so?
So we have a lot in our plate right now. So the Acumatic Puerto Rico thing I was telling you before, that's one of our hardest implementations because of the way the company works. Okay, too. So we're looking to integrate the e-commerce sales, but they will be distributed island wide through the different branches. So you as a customer, you can buy online, and then you choose in which location you want to pick up the merchandise. So I can have the main inventory in the e-commerce, but I don't know if the store where you're gonna pick it up is available or not. That's one of the things we are managing right now, and we would like Acumatica to help us with, because um The way it works right now, the POS software is separate from the ERP software. Having the opportunity to use Acumatica for that will consolidate that. We will have the ERP and the POS together. So that's one of our biggest upcoming implementations in the now. It's Blanco Chile, as I told you before. They just using it for sales, and we would like to start rolling out the full Acumatica capabilities for them. But as you know, data migration can be a nightmare, and moving in from the ERP system they have to Acumatica uh, could be could be difficult uh, because of the way, as I told you before, they work. So there's no out of the box configuration that works for us. Everything has to be customized. Everything has to fit each different site needs. So basically, we have these two implementations running, and Lanco Orlando, as I told you before, they also want Acumatica for them. Um, so that's three there. um, so we have our plate full Acumatica wise for now. We also started dealing with data self, as I told you earlier, and we're just in the process of seeing the dashboards, the views, what works, what is not working. For example, they have some customers in Jamaica, they buy in US dollars, but the main currency there is the Jamaican dollar, and the exchange is more or less like 140 Jamaican dollars is one US dollars. So I have this customer that he just bought in US dollars, and he breaks the curve because it's a lot of Jamaican dollars. So when you see sales, like a big percentage of the sales for that customer, um, it's like he's the best customer or the and that's not true because it's just a one-time purchase, but because of the currency that changes, it's a lot of Jamaican dollars. So when you see sales, like a big percentage of the sales for that customer, um, it's like he's the best customer or the and that's not true because it's just a one-time purchase, but because of the currency that changes our curve. So that's something we're working with DataSelf, the multi-currency dashboards. We have they're not ready yet. We have to work with them. Um, for the Blanco Chile implementation, they would also like to have the Acumatica system in Spanish because that's their main language. So that's another thing I have in the plate. Looking forward to translate the system for them. So basically, we have a lot of work.
You're a busy guy. Hey, quick time check here. We're coming up against the top of the hour. Do you have? I forgot to ask you beforehand. Do you have another meeting, or can you keep going for another 10, 15 minutes?
Yes, I can keep going.
I think you said Orlando wants Acumatica. Is that what you said?
Yes, Blanco, Orlando, they want Acumatica. They saw the system and they would like to do it, but they are not the Oracle based ERP I mentioned you before. They're moving in from another ERP. That's more. Lisandro is the one dealing with the Orlando implementation, and he will be bringing me more details further. But yes, they would like to have the benefit of Acumatica. It's, as I told you before, we just started with Blanco Jamaica, but everyone is seeing the capabilities of the system, what it can do, and everyone wants it. What can I say?
That really stands out to me when you hear that someone wants a new system. That is a good position to be in, and it sure seems to me like you're reaping the onto a new system and want it rather than just resisting the push. I think is unfortunately is not the norm, right? I think mostly the norm is you're going to have this new system and take it. You don't have a choice, and that culture that you built there, it sounds like it's made you a very busy person. But that's got to be somewhat satisfying that you have people actually asking you for the new system and not resisting it. That I think that's really cool.
Yes, it definitely is.
So how do you handle the load? Like you're the size of company you are, it sounds like you need more Acumatica gurus, right? Or is it just will just take longer to get through it? Is it just you? I mean, what does the team look like there?
Well, so the Blanco Group Tech and Innovation Team. So that's our main name, the Tech and Innovation Team.
Just you? I mean, what does the team look like there?
Well, so the Blanco Group Tech and Innovation Team. So that's our main name, the Tech and Innovation Team. We're just three for now. Is Lisandro, he's the CTO. We have the Tableau Guru, Andres. He just started with us back in October 2020. So he's pretty new to the unit. And then you have me, the Acumatica Guru. So it's just the three of us for now. That's why tools like data self helps us, because we have a pretty big load of work, and that team can help us to enlighten a little the charge we have, the amount of job we have. We'll definitely like to grow. Our team definitely will need to grow. So for now, the amount of job we have, we'll definitely like to grow. Our team definitely will need to grow. So for now, we are handling the load pretty well. However, as you heard before, we have some pretty big implementations coming, so we will definitely benefit from having more people. Sooner or later, we will need them. But yes, and a good thing we have here at the complete group is the adoption among the users. People here, they adopt things pretty well. We can just separate like half an hour or an hour for an Acumatica training. This is how you do sales orders. This is how you deal with payables, and the adoption in the group is good. So
Well,
they just start dealing with it, doing to test the new stuff. We're innovation motivated. We always like the new things and the things that make our job easier. So pretty much everyone here likes innovation, and they adopt the things pretty quick. So that helps us keeping the load stable. Yes, even though we have a lot of work, we have the resources, we have the people that are willing to test the system and are willing to learn about it. Also having the documentation, the Acumatica University, the videos, the AOG forums, definitely they are a great complement to our implementations. Those are great tools that help people. Sometimes I like, hey, you just told me you couldn't solve this. Oh no, I just found it on Google. It doesn't matter. I just solved it. It was in Acumatica University. It was in the forum. It was in the forum. Someone before asked this, and then we find it in your forum. That like the AUG forums. It's a great complement for anyone considering installing Acumatica and starting to work with Acumatica. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for that. I just read your last document you shared with the email about how it all started. It started like notes, and then it became the forum. So it's been great of you doing that, because it definitely helps. So it definitely let us know that even though this is not easy, someone has been here before and it has been solved before too. I know you have seen my post in the forums where I have a doubt, and then maybe from your forum or maybe from the Acumatica University or somehow I saw, definitely let us know that even though this is not easy, someone has been here before and it has been solved before too. I know you have seen my post in the forums where I have a doubt, and then maybe from your forum or maybe from the Acumatica University or somehow I solved it. So I just go to my post back and I just answer myself. I know you have seen it. So it's great having a place with all that documentation where you can look for.
Thanks for saying all that. That makes me feel really good. I really treat it the same way. Like, and I don't know if you've experienced this yet. Sometimes you have you have a question because you forgot something, and so you Google it, and you wind up back on one of your own posts because you did solve it maybe like a couple of years ago, but you forgot.
Exactly. Yeah, it happens.
Cool.
Yeah, it
What
happens
about,
all the time.
are you using the new Acumatica community forums there?
I registered and I saw it lightly. I didn't spend too much time on it because we have a pretty heavy load of work, but I do register. I haven't been able to research anything there yet because almost everything I solve it in AOG forums. However, uh, things that are not reporting related are there in the Acumatica community that they cannot be found that easily in AUG. So I know in the next upcoming weeks I will be researching there some information.
Yeah, I've been spending time on there myself, and the AUG forums was running for a few years, was the only thing there. Now I think the forum content really makes more sense on community.acumatica.com. There's just a lot more people. It's just great to have options out there, right? And whether it's the university, whether it's whatever it is, the fact that you can find something with a Google search, doesn't matter where you land, as long as you get what you're looking for, that's huge, right?
Exactly.
It makes things a lot easier.
Yes, definitely. It's a great benefit.
What about so anything else? I think we're coming near the end here. Anything else you'd like to share with the Acumatica community, lessons learned, or even still questions you might have for other people? The floor is yours.
Not really. I mean, yes, we still have a lot of doubts with the upcoming implementations. It would be great if some company out there that have a multi-branch tenant gave us some guidance. That's of course that's something good. Uh, and they can communicate with us through the links that are gonna be published in this podcast. But basically, I want to talk to the people that they're still considering Acumatica. Uh, I'll just say to them, just give it a try. Give it a try. It's a great software. It's easy to use, and the backup team, like people like you in the AOG forums, the Acumatica team itself, um, having the resources or the information always available, as we said before, is a great complement to any ERP system you consider. So basically, give it a try. Definitely give Acumatica a try. We try it. We loved it. We're still learning from it. But as I told you before, we are considering implementing more Acumatica. Is a great complement to any ERP system you consider. So basically, give it a try. Definitely give Acumatica a try. We try it. We loved it. We're still learning from it. But as I told you before, we are considering implementing more Acumatica among our companies because of the benefits it has brought to us. So yes, basically that's it.
So it sounds like you don't have any regrets on the choosing Acumatica.
No, basically not for now. I mean, it's not a perfect system. Everything has it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're going to use it for all of your companies, right? But what you've done with it so far, it
yes,
seems like it's
so
working.
far, so far it's working. I cannot 100% assure because we haven't been able to use it in a manufacturing environment system and the batch master integration of Acumatica and all that stuff. So or that flashy stuff we haven't been able to use. That will be Blanco Orlando. Uh, Maybe I don't know in the near future when we finish implemented, we can do another podcast and I'll tell you about it.
Part two, I like it. Are you? I'm curious. I think you mentioned this earlier. Are you bringing in a VAR to help you with the Orlando manufacturing side?
Yes. So Joel Gress, I know you know him. Joel is the
Yeah.
person that is helping us right now with the Acumatica Puerto Rico implementation. The the multi-branch implementation. So Joel is the person that's gonna be helping us. So Joel, he didn't start with us since the beginning. We started, as I told you before, by ourselves. However, in an AUG forum meeting, there were with him to the 2020 R2. Uh, so yes, Joel's the person that's helping us.
Excellent. You're in good hands, it sounds like. What about you also mentioned customizations. Are you doing customizations in-house, or are you having developers outside do them for you?
So most of them are in-house. Most of them.
Wow.
But
You
in the
you or someone else?
me.
You did it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So,
awesome. That's
so
great.
yes. See, yeah. So in the case we need something that's a little more complicated, we do get help. But uh, mostly we have few customizations. We don't have a lot. But yes, I'm the person that's my job, that doing the customizations. So yes, it's basically me.
That's great. You carving out the time for us today. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks to you too.
Great to
Bye
meet
bye.
you.
Take care.
All right. Well, that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next episode of AUGforums.com Real Talk. Thanks for listening and take care. Real Talk. Thanks for listening and take care.